Portrait of a Frightened Man. Mr. Robert Wilson, 37, husband, father, and salesman on sick leave. Mr. Wilson has just been discharged from a sanitarium where he has spent the last 6 months recovering from a nervous breakdown, the onset of which took place on an evening not dissimilar to this one, on an airliner very much like the one in which Mr. Wilson is about to be flown home. The difference being that, on that evening half a year ago, Mr. Wilson's flight was terminated by the onslaught of his mental breakdown. Tonight, he's traveling all the way to his appointed destination, which, contrary to Mr. Wilson's plan, happens to be in the darkest corner of the Twilight Zone. That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And in honor of the late, the great Richard Donner, we are here to talk through one of his earliest pop culture flagship landmark achievements, The Twilight Zone Season 5 episode, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. All right, so Dragon, I honestly think this is the big kahuna as far as Twilight Zone goes. Would you agree? I really don't think there's any Twilight Zone episode that has a bigger reach than this one does.
I mean, possibly the most iconic Twilight Zone episode. I mean, the only thing that could possibly rival it is the, I'm blanking on the name, but I want to say it's called All the Time in the World. You know, the whole, I had all the time.
There was time now. Yeah, it's called Time Enough at Last, yeah.
Well, I think that's the only one that could possibly rival this, but this, I mean, honestly, this is like the Twilight Zone episode.
Sure. So, Dragon, I got to tell you, it was only after the passing of Richard Donner that I even realized that this was a Richard Donner thing. And, we are going to do the Donner cut, and that will be uploaded the day after you guys are hearing this. But I really insisted. I was like, okay, look, like everyone's talking about Superman, and that's fine and good. That's obviously like the big feather in Donner's cap that everyone's going to know him for. But, man, I mean, I just think this has, it's so interesting to see, like, the roots of his career here, because he did TV work before this, Dragon, but I really think this was the first thing that, really kind of, like, cemented him. It really, because up until this, he was just kind of, I don't want to say he was, like, a small-time TV director, because by all means, he was working all the way up through the early 50s, but this was really like the first big get. This was like the first thing that really stuck to landing and kind of elevated him, I think. After this, he did a few other Twilight Zone episodes, 5 more to be exact, but nothing comes close to this one, at least in terms of pop culture impact. Although I'll be honest with you, Dragon, I haven't seen any of his other ones, so I'm very curious about them.
Well, you might have seen
now, the one big thing that I do
on
want to highlight, outside of the Donner of it all with the background, is Richard Matheson, Dragon. Does that name sound familiar?
I mean, I know Tim Matheson. I don't know if there's like a relation or not, but
I don't think so. All right, Richard Matheson. He is a big time like landmark sci-fi guy, Dragon. This is the dude. He wrote the original I Am Legend. He actually wrote a bunch of the old Roger Corman horror movies like House of Usher, Pit of the Pendulum, The Raven, stuff like that. Also, Dragon. Also, he wrote the short story Duel.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
So I mean, this guy, he really is the most I find it fascinating that Richard Donner is attached to this thing, and by all means, like, we'll talk through his style for sure. But man, another Richard, Richard Matheson, like this guy, his body of work is just incredible, Dragon. As far as writing goes, I really think he's one of the pillars of the late 20th century sci-fi boom. Let's see. I guess the only other thing I want to point out with him, I mean, some weird credits to his name. Jaws 3D is probably his most infamous credit. But Dragon, the most weird credit, and honestly, it's like I think this is a good movie. I just think it feels really outside of the lines of like what he usually does. But the same guy that wrote the short story in which this is based on also wrote Real Steel, of all things.
Huh.
The Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. I'm aware.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that like freaking Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, Real Steel? I just find it so odd that there's like a direct line there. Anyways, Dragon, let's do you have anything else? I mean, I guess this really is the first time we've talked anything Twilight Zone, right? Outside of maybe mentioning Tower of Terror a couple times.
Well, I mean, we talked about a parody sketch of Twilight Zone with Just Giggle It, so I mean that's kind of the closest we've gotten to talking about Twilight.
Okay,
Zone.
First of all, I really think we should redo Night of the Meek at some point, and you owe it to yourself to look into Night of the Meek for Christmas in July. Obviously, not this year. We got this year locked down, but it's one that I did on my own back in the day when we were literally trying to do an episode every day for Christmas.
No, I remember. Yeah.
But Night of the Meek really is like a hallmark. Well, not a. I shouldn't use the word hallmark in Christmas. That's a different kind. It's a landmark Christmas episode. It's a very, very bittersweet, melancholy Christmas episode. I love it a lot. And of course, Dragon Tower of Terror is the big thing that inspired this generation's fandom with the Twilight Zone. That, and I feel like this and the Three Stooges both are like super popular New Year's marathons. Is that accurate to say?
New Year's marathons?
Yeah. Have you experienced either of those two as New Year's marathon, this or the Three Stooges?
Just watching the show at New Year's?
I'm saying like back in the days when we actually used to watch cable and like I think it'd come on AMC or something.
I mean, not these shows, no. Not New Year's, no.
I guess that's just a me experience, but I very much associate Twilight Zone and Three Stooges with...
I mean, Twilight Zone I get, but no, I haven't watched any of them like around like the dawning of the new year. I'm usually watching something like...
Fair enough.
Like,
it's
like
a
Charlie Brown
I
New
guess
Year's.
It's not a universal experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dragon, like, the thing I love about the Twilight Zone, like, as a kid, of course, I latched on to the sci-fi of it all, so I feel like that's why this is like probably the biggest landmark of the Twilight Zone, is that it's such an easy concept, it's such a tangible concept to wrap your mind around, whereas I feel like a lot of the time with Twilight Zone, a lot of it is, it's very, like, metaphysical, it's very, like, heady. I'll be honest and say like a ton of Twilight Zone when I was a kid went way over my head. But Dragon, I gotta say, I haven't watched, I haven't really binged Twilight Zone since I was in high school, and I'm tempted to go back and do another binge of it because I got so much out of this. Mm-hmm. That I didn't get, like, even, and I'm very familiar with this thing. I know pretty much every beat of this thing like the back of my hand. But even so, Dragon, it's just incredible to me how rich the symbolism and allegory in this thing is. Even for such a simple story. And we'll get into that, but I really feel like that's obviously the Twilight Zone's big strength, is the moral fable of it all. Like, it really is like the 20th century equivalent of the fable in a lot of ways. So with that in mind, Dragon, unless you have anything else with a thesis, you want to just dive into it? Oh, I guess one more thing is, of course, William Shatner. William Shatner. Now, Dragon, have you seen Nick of Time?
No.
That's the one with the fortune telling machine.
No, I didn't see it. No.
Oh man, that's another one of my favorites, and Shatner gives like an equally compelling performance because essentially it's like a husband and wife who stop at a roadside diner, and there's this like little, like quaint little fortune telling. It's actually Mephisto, Dragon. I brought it up because like it's a little devil character on the fortune telling machine. Like it's like a little like like table sized fortune telling machine. And, like, it's got a little bobblehead devil on the top of it.
Was this after 20,000 feet or before 20,000 feet?
It was before.
Okay.
And this is actually obviously what landed Shatner the role in 20,000 Feet. So Nick of Time is another, like, I feel like that one's really underrated. I really like that one a lot. It's very much another William Shatner losing his mind Twilight Zone episode. Okay, so Dragon, you want to just dive right into it?
Well, I had things to say too, but
oh, I'm terribly sorry. I am just rambling on like a moron. Go ahead.
Just real quick. So, as I said, possibly the most iconic Twilight Zone episode. I grew up with parodies of this before I eventually watched this.
I think everyone did.
You know what my go-to parody was, though?
Oh, God, what?
The Johnny Bravo parody. So they had...
totally.
You remember what it was, right?
Oh, God, no, it's on the tip. Oh, what is it? It's on the tip of my tongue. God.
The episode's name was The Man...
Clown?
Yes!
Yeah,
It was the man who cried clown, in which, it's Johnny and his mama on the plane.
On the plane.
It's the clown. Every time she looks, he's not there. But here's the difference, though. Here's the wonderful difference, okay? So the clown is actually like messing with the engine and causing the plane to get all jostled. There's like an element of danger to it. Like the clown, literally throwing like rubber chickens and just stuff into the turbine and just like causing the plane to jostle. It's a whole Anyway, so I grew up with stuff like that, and I mean, ultimately, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet is a story. I think for me, looking back on it, it's which I don't go back to the Twilight Zone. Like I haven't binged the Twilight Zone. I've seen the biggies, but I haven't really gone back to them. So I mean, I went as pretty fresh. I mean, as fresh as I could go into it. At its core, this is like it's like an Abbott and Costello routine or Michigan J. Frog, played straight as a psychodrama. That's my best comparison for what this is. It's like. We've usually seen.
I never really thought of it that way, but you're right. It does kind of have like that sort of routine. It's that sort of like, oh, the person is seeing something, but other people aren't seeing it.
And like the nick of time, it's parenthetically, it's Michigan J. Frog or like an Abbott and Costello. Like every time Costello sees the ghost, like, what are you moving the candle for? Like what?
Right.
It's just that played straight, which is really it's kind of taking there's like a vaudevillian route to it all here. But again, we're playing it absolutely straight, and that's kind of why the Twilight Zone is the Twilight Zone. It's why they've taken these elements and they just really kind of it's all about the tone with the Twilight Zone. It's all about the what happens when you mix the Twilight Zone and Twilight and Zone together, you get tone. It's just unequivocally, it's about the atmosphere and how it sucks you in. It's that glorious black and white remastered when you go back and watch it these days. It's this is the thing that put Shatner on. Let me put it this way: this put Shatner on the board before Star Trek put him on the map. And basically, on the whole, this thing takes the fear of flying to a whole new level. Now, before I get into it, there are two things about Donner's role in this I should mention.
Yeah, by all means.
Okay, so first off, you mentioned the directing credits here. Donner had this philosophy as a director, which I think is a brilliant philosophy, and just direct anything you can. Like practically, don't say no unless you're committed to another project. Being the idea is like you get all the experience in the world. That's why he did so much TV. He got so much experience in the early days. That's what brings him to something like this. That's why he did 6 versus 1, I'd imagine. Like this happened, I'm just really liking what he did. It's like, hey, you want to direct? Yeah, okay. He was a real go with the flow kind of guy, and he also loved the challenge. The challenge on this one was, per the Twilight Zone. Traditionally, I don't know if it was necessarily this for all the Twilight Zone episodes. They only give you so many days to work on television. I want to say an ordinary Twilight Zone episode was, I want to say, a 2-day shoot. Now. They gave him initially 3 days to shoot this, but then they stripped it back, so we only had 2.5 days after he planned out for 3 days to shoot this puppy. And again, it was an extended shoot because of the plane stuff and the whole outside. You had 2 sets. You had to really sell the outside set, so that's why it kind of took so long. And the fact they had to really double time it to get into that 2.5. Like they worked nights on this puppy, and I think it shows. Like they're really committed to getting this thing done in a timely and effective manner. And the last thing I want to mention, the fun thing to mention, is we're reminiscing about the man, one of the classic Donner stories. So when he was shooting this, William Shatner wanted to channel his inner Clooney. I mean, probably before Clooney was really doing this. Yeah, probably before there was a Clooney. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Back when he was just like a gleam in Rosemary's eyes, or like just a little boy. Who knows? Anyway, so William Shatner wanted to pull a prank on Richard Donner. And the prank was, like, I think after they were coming back from lunch or something, so the idea was when Donner was, like, coming to the set, they would time this perfectly. They got a dummy and basically would have it look like Shatner, and basically, I guess, on the elevated set or something on the plane, probably during the climax, I'd imagine. I don't know. Shatner would fall from the plane to the floor, basically throw the dummy out to make it look like he fell and really hurt himself. So Donner, he rushed over, and they go, a laugh was had. And here's what the funny part is, where Donner, again, he probably put on providing that there was genuine concern, but again, because Donner was great like that. He was everyone's kind of grandfather and everyone's uncle. So yeah. Donner came over, and he confesses, like, I confess, my first thought immediately was, I'm going to have to shoot this whole thing again with a new actor. Good old Dick Donner putting Shatner in his place. Okay, all that said, yeah, let's dive into this puppy. Like, someone put the black and white lights on. Let's do this.
All right, so we start. Dragon, first of all, I just want to mention the set decoration for the old-fashioned plane is just always okay. I really hope that you and I have the same. I feel like this is one of the things that you and I would vibe on. All right, Dragon, tell me you aren't charmed by the little pull back windows on the planes.
Oh, you mean
like the little curtain windows?
Yeah, I love the curtain. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course it's used very effectively, and I think probably
it's like a precursor to like the little
scare of the piece, which we'll get there.
Yeah, it's like the precursor to like the little like plastic slidey thing you have.
Right. And honestly, Dragon, I think it's a lot more comfortable. In my
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of comfort and there's a lot of coziness on this plane.
Yeah, totally.
It was a great set. It was a really well built set. And again, so it's not. I say set in the loose sense. It's absolutely a set, but I'm just saying it's like an aisleway, and you have that one like kind of seating area really to work with.
No, I mean it, but it's used. It sells you though.
You're on a plane.
It's like
absolutely buy that you're on a plane.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we are getting an introduction. People are getting kind of the boarding process is happening, and we meet William Shatner's character, Dragon. We meet William Shatner's character, and he's recovering from a little bit of a nervous breakdown, and Robert Wilson is his name.
Now, here's something really interesting about this, Tiki, is we essentially don't need Rod. We don't really need Rod Serling, if you think about it. Okay,
watch your tongue.
No.
Need Rod Serling.
Sorry, let me clarify. Rod Serling's great, and he's awesome, and he adds the tone and the effectiveness, and basically the whole Twilight Zone. We need him for the opening, essentially. But technically, by really liking the storytelling, is basically what I'm saying is Rod Serling. He's like the cherry on top. Is that we don't need him, but we like that he's there.
Yeah, totally.
That we establish everything we need to know that Rod Serling summarizes in the interactions.
I think the one thing that Rod Serling adds is kind of the exposition about how he was. He was on a sabbatical and he was in a mental institution. How the last time he flew, his plane had to get sidetracked. So there's like a big danger of him flying.
The big thing here's the big thing we do get from that's important though, is that we set up that the mystery, like this plane is going to land. So that's the big thing that everything else though I think is intimated in the conversation, which I'm really impressed by. We kind of do it, and then we kind of put the special sauce on it with Serling. But then the big proviso is that the last plane stopped when he had his breakdown, and they didn't fly. But no, he's in midair while he's flying, and this plane's going to land.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, Greg, you want to know the most sci-fi line in the whole thing?
What?
Honey, don't smoke yet. Wait till the plane takes off.
I don't know if
Doesn't
sci-fi.
That just feel so disconnected from reality nowadays?
I don't know if sci-fi is the right term for that, Tiki, but sure, it's very kind of.
But you know what I mean. It's just like you kind of do a double take there. It's like, whoa, wait, what?
It's kind of like looking into the past as such the bygone era that it now is.
Exactly. All right.
So we have Chekhov's window at the top here. So what we set up is
we got a lot of Chekhov stuff. Yeah, the Chekhov's emergency exit, if you will.
Just the auxiliary, the auxiliary window exit and the whole emergency window. I love that. There's always like an implied. This is like such an idea of the human condition that is so represented in one shot. Is that there's always an implied pressure of sitting by the emergency exit. And it's always, I think more so back then when you would actually need to use it, where these days it's more like rarely you do use it, but so rarely because now we try to make things all safe and cozy. I remember like sometimes you sit on the bus back in the day and it's like, oh my God, what does this red switch do? Like, what does this mean? What do I have to do? Where's the training video?
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole thing you should throw. I mean, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David would always have this hilarious thing like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable sitting here. I don't want this responsibility. I want to change seats.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does, and I like that we already have that kind of at play. There's always like an uneasiness, and now we're adding it to a guy who is a little unstable, or at least has the potential of being unstable, and we're putting him next to this very potentially dangerous thing. It's going to pay off an actor,
Mm-hmm. All right, so really quickly, what do you think of the wife in this situation? Because I like that she's kind of, to me, I almost think she's almost equally as compelling as Shatner, just because she has to put on this dual role of like, she's like, when it starts, she's like, genuinely supportive and like, look, like, you're turning a new leaf. I got this. We're together every step of the way. Don't worry about the last 6 months. It's, we're only forward from here. And then slowly as the piece goes on, she like her faith in him just kind of like very slowly starts to peel away until she's just genuinely like terrified of him.
Julia Wilson was very compelling in this, and especially she plays in my favorite scene of the whole thing. But yeah, it's just this great thing of, again, that you feel the love between the couple, and that was another kind of Donner thing. Donner always conveyed like kind of a love story really well, and you have like this sense of like, yeah, this is a wife who's very supportive of her husband through this trying time, instead of like
extraneous circumstance, dude, especially back then.
Yeah, like they have kids too, like and I like it. We kind of call out at the top here the whole thing of like Bob's like, look, you had to stay home with the kids and everything, and no, he's just very very sympathetic towards like I'm so sorry I had to go through that, but no, I'm fine now. Like it doesn't matter. It's like it's the plane that scares me, not the window thing.
Yeah,
and again with the smoking gag too, by the way, is the fact that he's attempting to relieve stress, and then you have like the no smoking sign, and it's just. All of our setups there, we're conveying in the action of just this man is very visibly nervous, and Bob laments that he's not acting like a cured man. Like this isn't the behavior of a cured man, and Julie just points out like, look, and this is the thing that really saves her as a character, is the wife character. It makes her really important. At the top, she sets up, look, would the doctor let you fly home? Fly being the operative word. Home if you weren't cured. It's that simple. Which again, there's a comforting logic there. She's comforting as all get out.
Which brings me to kind of like this isn't my thesis on my opinions about this, but this is kind of like my thesis on the themes of the piece. Dragon, I like looking back on this thing, it hit me like a ton of bricks. The gremlin just represents just anxiety as a whole, right? Wouldn't you say? Like,
yeah, the gremlin represents
very symbolic.
The gremlin is the fear of flying. That's I mean, anxiety in the.
No, I would just go as far as to say it's just anxiety in general. Honestly.
Well, no, I'm saying you're right. I'm in the immediate sense, it's fear of flying. But you're right, though. It's kind of fear and anxiety.
That's kind of what hit me on a rewatch, because obviously it always like represented the fear of flying. But like we'll get into it, but there's certain lines in this thing where it's like it really hit me as someone who does live with anxiety. It's like I really feel like there is a case to be made where it's like, you really can like personify the thing. I don't know. It's like it really hit me in a way that it hadn't before. So I'm excited to kind of dive into that a little bit.
The gremlin is fear and doubt. It's always like the doubt of like something's not going to work right, or something's going to break down, or in this case, that you're going to break down. So basically, in a sense, the gremlin is anxiety and Bob is the plane. That he does land, but he's a little damaged. Anyway.
All
right. I mean, you literally read the opening with Serling, so I don't think we need to necessarily
No. We don't really
rehash that again. So the point being at the top here is that it's everything's still intact except for me, and then the cabin door shuts, and Bob has like an alarm thing, just kind of looking around. You're seeing like, oh, nothing, just a little. Like, the dialogue's really on point here, by the way. There's nothing, just a little abject cowardice.
Mm-hmm.
Is all I'm gonna.
By the way, I love how simple the set is that Rod Serling's standing on. It's literally just like a chain link fence and a
he's like outside the airport essentially.
Yeah. Like, it's so quaint, Dragon. It's so quaint. I imagine it's just like shot like on the side of the airplane set or something. All right,
and we have like the big dooming line. Then we just jump into it after we skip past the Serling. Is that just the teensy weensy breakdown? Now cured. Understand. I love the sarcasm. Understanding is wonderful. It's not the plane. It's over tension, over anxiety, under confidence. And we seatbelt everything. I love that. I love how we hold on Bob during the Serling of it all. It's like that's the Twilight Zone direction there. Just like he puts the seatbelt on nervously, and we hold on Bob like uncomfortably, just to like signify, okay, we know everything we need to know about this man. Now we're in his story. Enter the Serling, and of course, we already know what he said. Traveling all the way to his destination, and basically, he's going to be caught in the storm. There's the Twilight Zone. Ooh.
All right, so after that, we have there's a storm brewing, Dragon. There's a storm brewing outside. By the way, to this day, the most impressive thing about this to me is how they blended the indoor and the outdoor footage. Like, to me, they don't miss a beat. It looks fantastic.
So here's something I got to note with Donner. So obviously the first Superman movie, I like to think in my own headcanon. I can't prove this. I'm sure if I really looked it up, I could maybe find it. But I'd like to think in Superman, there's a big scene where when Superman's going around doing what every superhero movie should have, our superhero is saving people. He flies in the plane. You have the pilots just having that moment of like, what's wrong? Nothing. Just keep flying. Don't look back. Just keep flying. And it's Superman basically out the window holding the wing of the plane. And again, I'd like to assume that's Donner referencing really tongue-in-cheekly the Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Because again, like he kind of is in kind of him engineering the whole like looking out the window and just kind of something going on with the plane. So I like to think again him shooting in a storm too with that. So a lot of that I think a lot of those touches were kind of formed by Donner and they kind of transferred to Superman. The man knows how to shoot out the window of a plane is my operative point here.
Okay, so Shatner, he's still kind of nervous. I love that we set up the sleeping pill, Dragon. I love that that's another kind of device. The fact that the wife is already taken a sleeping pill, so she's already kind of out of it. She's kind of drifting in and out of sleep. There's kind of pressure on him to take the sleeping pill. So it's like this is a classic sort of like bottle episode scenario where it's like they use every part of the buffalo in terms of like every little thing that we could picture going down within this tiny set. It's like, everything is heightened because of how confined it is. You know what I mean?
Yes, I love how the sleeping pill, the next time we bring it up, how it comes into play in our story. But like what we establish here is like the wife's taking a sleeping pill. I should be awake for you, Bob. Is like, no, don't be silly. Just you go back to sleep, puts like the coat over like a blanket. So we establish that we're rooting for Bob, right? Like Bob's a nice guy, he's a troubled man that you root for. You want him to make it through this flight. And we've all felt nervous flying one time or another at some point. And it's then of course he looks out the window. And again, we have very shot. We have this excellent shot. As I mentioned, a little bit of maybe a little kind of precursor to Superman, but I love it's storming outside. The exteriors look so good, and the left wing of the plane through the darkness. This is so cool, Tiki. Out of the darkness.
Like at first, you barely even see it.
Which is the point too. Like the lightning is kind of illuminating them. And just the fact that if you look at that, that's the great moment. He's literally out of the dark abyss. A creature approaches the window. slowly. So they get a very monster movie reaction shot initially from Shatner, which is great. Just the realistic kind of double take of like, we would all have, like, he's looking to, like, oh man, the wife's sleeping, I can't get her like this. Look at this, which you think, okay, it's like a little incidental thing. Where no, it's gonna be a thing that confounds him. No one's gonna see this darn thing.
Right.
So Bob hits the call.
Another great thing about the direction here, Dragon, is the zooms. We have so many good zooms.
Oh yeah, this is like the guy who did the Omen zooms, and
of course, yeah.
All right, so let's see. So he hits the call button. Stewardess comes by and says, "There's a man out there." A what? So we look
Classic
out.
delivery.
Yep. No one does Shatner better than Shatner, kids. So he's just like, walking on the. He's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone. And I love this. I love the composure and the breakdown that kind of unfolds here, like in stages where he apologizes.
I really like how the stewardess is another kind of like, she doesn't get a ton to do, but I really like how throughout this whole thing she's, I imagine there was probably like a debriefing about this guy's situation, and there's kind of like a little backstory going on with the stewardess that we don't really ever focus on, but I like how she's like having a super stressful work night, and it's like, oh God, I got to keep this crazy guy, subdued. And I really like how it's like she doesn't miss a beat of like when the wife wakes up, she's just, she kind of just like brushes off, doesn't want to worry the wife at all, just says, oh, it's nothing.
Yeah, I had kind of a different read on the stewardess, Tiki. I mean, yours is, I think, is better. It's just I had like it's a very simple read on it. I just like to think in the '60s, air travel was a lot friendlier, and that they took the time to when they took the tickets, they actually learned the names of all the passengers.
No,
I mean, you're right.
I'm pretty sure it's a debriefing, Dragon.
I think you're absolutely right. I want to make no compunction. You're absolutely right on that. That makes a lot more sense. I'm just saying, I was kind of like, oh man, they know air travel is so much fun. I was going with the accoutrements.
It truly was the friendliest guys.
Yeah, the friendliest guys, like the accoutrements of the curtain and everything, and everything was a lot nicer.
Everybody knows your name.
Sure.
Right.
No, but seriously though, it was kind of nice though. It's and the fact that Stewardess was really friendly throughout the whole thing. Like, she was really putting up with this guy. She was. Anyway.
No, I mean, Dragon is someone who works in the service industry. Believe me, she is internally screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. So, anyways, the point being, Stewardess, tries to cover for him here, and now the wife's awake, and she's asking like, he asked for a glass of water.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. And then Julia.
Okay, Dragon, we got to bring up the water cartons.
Yes, like the paper water cups.
How
yes.
weird is that?
I know it's here's the thing. It's like the precursor to the cone. The little paper water cone. Which never seemed right to me. I mean, it's harmless, but it's like I can never set it down. This isn't right. I don't like it either. It's cool, but it's not right. Anyway, but yeah, it's a great signifier of like the 50s and 60s in the sky. We're like, yeah, they wouldn't give you a glassware; they'd give you like paper.
I mean, I feel like nowadays they just give you a bottle of water, but
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They would give you a bottle of water. I mean, there's gonna be a weird thing they did in the 60s. Like, how prevalent how easily accessible was bottled water outside? Which
I am not sure. That's a good question.
That's the thing. I mean, part of me just thinks like they just have like one big water jug back there or something.
Right.
I don't know how portable we had. I don't know. I didn't know we were going to do a dissertation in the water industry, but there you go.
You know what? I'm going to Google what year bottled water was invented. So transition us while I look that up, Dragon.
Okay. So the point being, the paper water cup, it's kind of a cool little detail. Anyway, so. She asks for a glass of water. We get she brings back the paper cut right on cue with the sleeping pill to relax him.
According to Google, bottled water has been around since 1767.
Okay, get out of here.
1767.
Okay, type in plastic water bottle.
Okay, hold on. What year was... Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I don't buy that for a second. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so the point being, so right on cue, the stewardess returns with the paper cup of water, as Julius suggests, like, hey, why don't you take your sleeping pill now?
1973. All right.
Called it. Knew it.
Okay. That like predates this by like
yeah
significantly. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, vindication smells so nice. All right, so okay. The point being though, so guys, love that right on cue. This leads to, for me, I mean, I think logically it doesn't. If you really want to split hairs, I guess it doesn't line up that much. But for me and for the viewing experience, especially if you haven't watched in a while, there's an ambiguity of the sleeping pill.
Sure.
As in, he takes the sleeping pill and yet he does not fall asleep, and it just leads to a question. Now here's the thing. He thought he saw something at first on the wing, and then he takes a sleeping pill, and basically the moment he takes a sleeping pill is like, okay, so that's anything he sees cannot be trusted.
I mean, so what are you saying? Are you saying that the sleeping pill is like messing with his perception?
Yeah, that was my read with the ambiguity of, like, because he takes that. So we know for the other one he cheeks, but the first one he actually takes a sleeping pill, and it's the question of, like, is he just dreaming about?
It's an interesting theory. I've never actually heard that be brought up.
About what he thought he saw, like, for a moment, then he's just basically possibly dreaming a lot of it. And obviously bad. I think holes can be poked in it quite easily, given, like, he does get, he does have a breakdown. It's the question of how much, but again, it's him seeing something, though. So it's a question of, like, I don't know, actually, I think it does kind of work still. Yes, he still freaks out in any way you slice it. So, it's like, yeah, he could be imagining the thing on the plane, and he just sees it more frequently because of the sleep.
But then, of course, we have the ending, but is the ending, like, I don't know, we'll get there.
Anyway. Okay, so, regardless. So, so anyways, takes a sleeping pill, wake me if you need me. I love the hesitation as he closed the curtain after he saw it the first time.
Oh my God, Dragon, this used to fucking terrify me as a kid.
Really?
Yes.
See, that's the thing. Donner has spoken to this too. Like, when you look back on it, like,
I don't care how cheesy it looks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everything else is so on point with the tone, and you're in the psycho.
I will say, I think the fur looks bad, but I do like the makeup. I do like the twisted face.
I'm saying, usually the fur did not hold up well. Let's be honest.
No, I agree. It looks bad.
It looks like a black and white version of the monkey suit from Batman and Robin.
Yes, it
does. Like the giant pink gorilla suits. And here's the thing: the problem with the makeup for me, I mean, it's not bad. It's just the fact, like, the makeup face or like the rubber mask or whatever. Well, yeah, it's like, it's makeup. No faces. And regardless, it looks a little stock Twilight Zone with the eyes. It looks like it's
it's very on brand for Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It feels like a little like, yeah, they always have like the dark circle effect on the eyes. Like every time we do like the pig people episode, like
I mean, I understand what you're saying there.
It's not bad.
I mean, I still think it's effective makeup, though.
I'm just saying overall between the makeup and the puffy suit. I mean, like I'm saying it doesn't take away from the episode at all.
Okay, regardless, my point is like even with the design, I don't think the scare factor in this moment comes from the design. I think it comes from the editing and it comes from the build-up. Because, like you said, he closes the curtain, and then it's like this slow sort of build-up of, like, he's hesitant, and he's like, all right, I'm going to open the curtain. There's going to be nothing there. It's going to be all good. And then it's like, bam, just like right front and center, just bam.
Yep.
Literally, like, pressing his fucking big lips against the window.
I love that there are moments in this where Shatner's character basically, if he just surrendered to okay, fine, whether there is something or not out there, I'm not going to look at it. We have moments where he could just choose not to look at it, but then of course his turnover was going down.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is absolutely like an anxiety metaphor for me. It's like, because I feel like a lot of things with anxiety is like, it doesn't really like, if you stress out about something, like, that's why I choose not to stress out about stuff, involving like, world news or stuff of that nature, generally speaking, just because it's like, if it's something that's out of my control, if it's something that I'm not, it's like, if I'm fucked, right? It's like, I don't want to, I don't want to spend extra real estate in my mind worrying about potential what ifs. But having said that, as someone who does live with anxiety, there is going to come times where it is going to fucking overwhelm you. So I don't know. I just think that whole kind of like what if thing is very well played, and it's a very effective metaphor for me.
Oh, by the way, I think the word I was looking for with the makeup is there's like an antiquated Twilight Zone charm to it, where it's just kind of, looks dated.
Like I said, I think it's just very on brand for the show.
Yeah.
It holds up like you can put it up against any memorable Twilight Zone monster. They all look pretty similar, honestly. Like you said, they all kind of have the like the mounds of makeup and the dark eyes and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool that the show kind of has a trademark look for its monsters.
Yeah. So then of course we have like the Gremlin's putting his face against the window. We have the big music as he freaks out, but then it isn't there, and so the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein as a psychodrama thing begins. So he calls the stewardess quickly. And then we have the Michigan J. Frog shenanigans of just it's
firework where the Gremlin just like jumps on and off of the plane. He just floats away at
he
Mary Poppins.
It's like, how the heck is that guy here?
It's practically Dainty Dragon.
How the heck that thing is so aerodynamic is beyond me. It doesn't even have like a bat wing or anything. Like I don't get it. But anyway. It just looks so, and again, this is what I'm saying. This adds to that ethereal kind of dreamlike thing. And again, Tiki, remember the title of the thing is Nightmare at 20,000 feet, hence the sleeping pills theory.
Sure.
So a lot of this could be a dream, and the ending is the thing that again makes you think, well, I mean, because something does happen to him, but who knows? He might have freaked out intermittently within the dream. Who knows? But anyway, so so Mr. Wilson. We have that Shatner pause, though. The steward is like, well, now it's gone. He knows, like, oh, God, it's gone. Mr. Wilson, I just love the pause of just, like, as he's taking his time to process it. Like a classic Shatner acting thing. Where always he's waiting for the moment. Are we going into a storm? As he composes himself. Are we going into a storm? A small one. So now, let's see. So now his wife, asks his wife to wake up, but no dice. And again, this adds like that. This is like a nightmare situation. She's not waking up every time I need her to see the darn thing. And the Gremlin returns, and he's sitting on the end of the propeller.
Oh my God! Again, I love how it's just like very obvious wire work. He just kind of just like moonwalks back down.
Yep. And then we have like the pallet, or like the little platelet thing that has like. And then, of course, this harkens back to, hence the namesake, the World War II Gremlins that Joe Dante's Gremlins are also based on, and Disney did Gremlins. It's the old Gremlins lore. In that World War II, you had these little creatures that messed with the machinery of planes, that would explain why they inexplicably went down, like versus like machine error, because it happens so frequently. So this is where the Gremlins myth comes from. And this is where, like, basically what we're seeing unfold before our eyes. He's messing with the wiring, which leads to the immediacy. And then we have, this is some of my favorite Shatner, over-the-top Shatner acting in a really fun way. Okay, we have Gold Shatner here. There's the reactions of he looks at, like, he's like almost like you're so terrified you're kind of smiling,
Yeah, totally.
It's just like that. This is just the sheer panic in the form of a smile. It's like
I mean, it goes without saying, but like Shatner's performance absolutely sells the situation. It's not the creature that sells the situation.
I know. As I say, I love that. It's like there's like a twinge of comedy within the drama, within the reaction. But again,
totally. I've always read this thing to be kind of a dark comedy.
And then again, how can you not with the Michigan J. Frog and the DNA of
right, exactly. It
is going to get funny after a while, but then once we sober up, my God, things get really serious. But we'll get there. So wakes up Julia. We're getting close to my favorite section here. So she wakes up Julia. The Gremlin again, glides on back. He tells Julia about there's a man on the wing, and this is where Donner's just brilliant here with this a great directorial choice. So we just keep throughout this sequence, we keep holding on Julia's face, man.
This is maybe my favorite moment in the whole thing, just because I love how just very gradually she just loses more and more faith in what this guy is saying.
All right, so basically, as he's realizing the gremlin parables and names of the gremlin, that we have my favorite scene, my favorite sequence in the whole thing. Okay, so this is my favorite part of the episode. So, Julia, Julia, don't look at me like that. I'm not, I'm not imagining it. Like, don't look now. It's not there now. It jumps away for everyone except me. And then we have this is where it becomes my favorite. It's the MVP performance by Shatner here, and this is like I would absolutely be this guy in this situation. I love it. Okay, it's just like the man realizing full well that he sounds crazy and calling it out very rationally, and he's making the emotional plea to his wife. And I think it's legitimately some of Shatner's finest acting. This is an excellent scene.
I cannot think of a role that's better than this as far as Shatner's career, honestly. Yeah.
I mean, look, a part of me wants to say Denny Crane, but this is the dramatic performance, darn it. Yeah, Denny Crane's a hilarious comical farce. Anyway, so this is the whole this is the stuff that gets you a Star Trek because he did such a good job. This is what gets you in the captain's chair.
Sure.
Do I look insane? No, darling, no. It's just, I know, I know I had it. I just love it. I just think saying the facts. I know I had a breakdown. I know it was in an airplane. I know it looks like it's basically a replay of what happened there, but it isn't. I'm sure this time. That's why I didn't tell you before. I didn't want to tell you till I was sure, but now I know.
I love how it's like he's desperately trying to use that as an ace up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm. And she's saying, "I want you to tell me," where it's clearly it's code for this is crazy talk. Go on. So I didn't because I wasn't sure. I'm not. There's a man, a gremlin, and he's struggling to. If I described him to you, you'd think I was really gone. It's all right. It's all right. I know. I know your intent, Julia. I know your intentions are good. This is very kind of Jimmy McGill, Kim Luxor sort of territory. And I like this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know your intentions are good. You love me, you sympathize with me, but don't patronize me. Mm-hmm. I love the intensity. Don't patronize me. This doesn't. I can see it. I didn't say anything. It doesn't have to be said. I can see it in your face. And this, I love the acting of the hands. He's grabbing her hands in the body language, lovingly grabbing her in the scene. And I'm telling you because it's tampering with the engines. And it just gets. I love how we're ratcheting up the drama here, man. It's look, there's. Look, think anything you want. If you believe, you think I belong in a straitjacket if it pleases you. Pleases me. I just love the immediacy of the correction. No, no. No, not that it pleases you. Just look, all I'm asking, I love this. And again, he's so close to being in control of the situation. But then
Dragon's a total metaphor for people's own anxieties eating them alive. That's exactly what it's playing out.
And he says all I'm asking is that you tell the pilots to keep an eye on the wings. If they see nothing, and I love how he just kind of builds up to the sobering reality, I'll commit myself again. But if I'm not, and again, she's starting to look at him would you at least allow the possibility? I know it's asking a lot, advertising.
It's the great thing about this is the more it goes on, like I said, the less convincing it is, even though he is getting more and more desperate. So it's you really feel this disconnect, this really palatable, she just really thinks he's gone off the deep end. She's really trying hard to hold it together for him. He sees through her trying. I love how it's every step of the way he knows that he knows exactly how he comes off. That to me just adds just another level of suspense to the whole thing.
Absolutely, it does, and I love we go from love to paranoia and like the turn of a dime. That's great. Just this whole I'll tell them. Just sit tight, and then the gremlin's at it again. Call Dante.
God.
So I love this how we. So this is what I'm saying. So right now he had a very solid plan there. I mean, again, whether she believes it or not, he has a solid plan. That again, which I love how we get. As I know, I don't always turn us in the circles, but again, we have a great wrinkle in it coming up where he absolutely compromises his footing here. All he has to do is wait, and he knows at this point he knows that they're not going to see it. So why is he calling him over so frantically? This is it's like hurry. But again, So again, like we then call over the pilot, presumably we don't know. I like that we don't know.
A flight engineer.
Well, they say I know they say engineer. Tiki, he asked for the pilot. Isn't the engineer and the pilot technically the same thing? At least back then, like how many?
I mean, if it's the pilot, then who is piloting the plane right now? Like I don't know.
They have co-pilots.
Right.
Look, I'm just saying. I don't like. Do they have like engineers on a plane in addition to the pilots? Because I don't. Even nowadays, I don't think they do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I have no frame of reference. I'm just saying we go back. We say pilot, then we have an engineer. I don't know how that works. Anyway, so the point being. We bring back a guy in a hat who's in charge, okay? So, and I love the ambiguity of we don't see the conversation. We cut away. Now, I like to think that she just brought him out because she asked the stewardess and like, oh, stewardess brought him out, and I like to think it was like split second, like, okay, well, he just came out and then he gets called over. Hurry! Like, would you look for God's sake?
Yeah.
Look, and then gone, nada. He's pulling up the plates. The plates are pulled up, and of course, the plates are not pulled up, which adds a whole lot of doubt on both sides now. Like, oh my God, there's no physical sign of it. I might actually be crazy. Oh my God, what am I doing? So, what is the pilot? What does the engineer do, Tiki?
I mean, the engineer, he's trying really hard to keep it together. He's like, no, of course we know, of course we see him, Mr. Wilson, but we mustn't alarm the other passengers.
I just love so much that's all he needed. But it's all he needed to hear. And you saw how calm he got there. Like, just for a moment, he was like, really? You saw him too? Like, yes, we saw him too. We got to keep it calm. He handled him like a child, and he handled him flawlessly. But at this point now, the paranoia is there. The paranoia with the wife is there. And it's like, I feel like I compromised that footing there too of like, oh God, he could see on his wife that she doesn't believe it. And it's a ruse.
Now, the thing we've got to remember, you can stop now.
Mm-hmm. You can leave. Just, oh God. And then we have like the big line where, again, if he were actually meant this, then he'd be fine. I won't say another word. I'll see us crash first.
Exactly. It's like, God damn, it's literally just a story of a guy who can't follow his own advice, you know?
Exactly. So we have, and again, then we have that line, Tiki, is so relevant today and so crazy how ahead of its time the Twilight Zone was with this episode in that regard.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously, outside of just the obvious anxiety while flying and all that sort of stuff we've been talking about already, but think about it. It's so relevant. It's such a relevant moment post 9/11 of, if you see something, say something, the mentality, and him saying, like, I won't say another word, I'll see us crash first. Like, that's just seeing how far we've come and like how we dissuaded that at a time, and now we're all about that. Like we would worship this guy on the plane these days. Like he said, it'd be like people like saying, "Well, did he see something? He might have." Like people would be getting on his side, maybe like a whole like a hashtag thing for him today.
Actually, that's one thing. Like if I have one nitpick with this at all, I think that like I would have liked to have seen more of a reaction from like other passengers about what's going on.
I respect that we didn't do that, though, T, because, I mean, when I first watched it way back when, I was like, you'd think that's exactly where they're going with it, where you're just going to have, like, the old thing, like, everyone thinks he's crazy on the plane, where basically...
but, like, what I'm saying is, like, I kind of wish, like, what you were throwing out, I think could have worked well, where, like, some people think he's crazy, but there might be, like, one or two people that, like, are really, like, hey, like, if this guy's telling the truth, then we could all be fucked here,
I mean, I think if this were like a 40-minute episode, then they probably would have done that. But
totally.
I don't know if in the runtime they could have made it as effective, as concisely.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, maybe that's it. All right, so okay, let's see. They have a really cool. Okay, let's see. So poor Bob is baffled as the engineer or the captain or whoever he is, the guy in the hat, gives Julia some sleeping pills. As the gremlin yet again is pulling wires and everything, and the gremlin pulls up that plate again.
Then he just kind of flies away like someone playing Peter Pan in a stage production, just flies away on wires.
You hear da 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 every time he does it. So Julia begs Bob to take the pills, and he does. We'll see, in quotes, he does. Now, here's something I want to know how you felt about this. I want to know if you caught this.
Okay.
So the pilot and the stewardess have a conversation, very briefly, And
Yes.
he says, like, yeah, it's like he'll be out for hours. Basically, he took like a sleeping pill on top of the other one he already took. So it's it's a good thing because we're going into a storm, or like the storm's going to last for a while. Now we linger on the pilot, and there's a twinge in the actor's performance that really stuck with me, in that there and the way he played that scene earlier. I like to think, Tiki, given how we kind of end this thing, I don't think the pilot was lying.
I mean, I definitely think there's an ambiguity to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Because like the whole thing is meant to like, the whole thing is meant to like be like you're in the perspective of Shatner, who is just automatically going to assume that people think he's crazy,
And maybe the one guy who doesn't think he's crazy, actually, he believes him, and he sends him away. With the irony.
Right, totally.
But I just love that twinge there. I love that it opens that up, though, because again, it could be a nightmare. Could be in this case, could be maybe they actually haven't given the pilot kind of believes him here. Who knows?
Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong. With Johnny Bravo, wasn't there some sort of twist where the clown actually worked for the airplane or something like that?
I have to rewatch it, Tiki, and I can't. I don't know. Everybody, I will say this though, there was a funny gag with the pilots though. Here, I don't know if you remember this. On Denver, he went to warn the pilots, and they were playing pinata in the cockpit.
Oh my god!
They were blind. The idea is they were completely blind to what was going on amidst all this, is not noticing anything they logically should have, and they're just like playing with a pinata.
All right, that's funny.
Anyway, right, getting back to the anyway. So, but again, it's the twinge of something there. That's why the Twilight Zone's the Twilight Zone, man. They give you those thoughts and those hypotheses and whatnot. Okay, so we real Bob cheeked the pill, man. He cheated the system by cheeking the pill.
Mm-hmm.
He sees the gremlin. It is like our big third act tension, man. He's had up to here with that gremlin SOB. So he sees the gremlin at work, and he formulates a plan. This is some good Donner directing here. We have all the pieces at play. We're seeing visually. We're seeing the gears in the man's head.
I like that this is basically like a heist scene in 2 minutes.
Yeah. So we have, and no, it's not an air marshal because we don't have. I don't think we have those yet. This is just a cop on the plane. Of a cop or like a sheriff's deputy or someone on the plane with a gun, and we have this tense bit as like as Bob steals the policeman's gun, very slyly, very high. And I love the palpable tension, especially now being an audience, monitor on. It's like, oh no, Bob, don't make that choice, because the moment he grabs that gun, and it's all so far it's been harmless, but now it's real. Totally, he's got a gun on the plane. Like, no, Bob. Don't do this. All right. So you're seeing the gears turn. He's got the gun. You see the emergency exit latch. Again, Chekhov's exit. He's asking his wife to get him a glass of water for her own safety, so she doesn't get sucked out the window. And then we have the insane climax as he straps himself in.
Oh, it's great, man! It's super cinematic.
It's like the air version of Quint from Jaws.
Yeah, totally.
Where just he's strapping himself in, like we opened the thing on him, like buckling up. So he pulls the latch, and of course, it's utter chaos at 20,000 feet. Where it's like he thinks he's going to be safe. He's sucked out of the plane, but held by the waist. So he's like almost completely sucked out of the plane. His wife's screaming and panicking, and he's taking aim, and he shoots off 5. She empties the clip, but I think he gets 5 rounds into the gremlin, it seems, and just we pushing on the screen like ah. Mm-hmm. And then we have that, again, some great Donner directing here. So that great POV shot, as just like the cop is like escorting him out. It's like as Bob is like strapped to a gurney, and he's being carried out. What happens?
So then, of course, Rod Serling comes in to finish up his narration. Dragon, hold on. Let me pull it up. I actually can.
Well, hold on. I'll build you up to it.
Okay.
So we reveal, and they did land, and they did arrive, and as we joked earlier, but now it's a reality, poor Bob, he is in a straitjacket for what he's done. The pilot figures, and the pilot, the engineer, whoever, this guy's baffling me who he is. So the guy figures it's the nuttiest way to commit suicide.
Yeah, it just says in the credits he's flight engineer, so I don't know what to tell you.
No, okay, I'll take fine, flight engineer. Technically means the same thing, but flight engineer. Okay, right. I won't make any waves. unlike Bob. So it's the nuttiest way to commit suicide ever. Like, they think the idea being they think he tried to shoot himself in the head outside the plane. I think that's what they think he tried to do. It's all right, darling. Sorry, I know, but I'm the only one who does know right now. And then Q and our guy here as we linger on the final shot. Tell him what he says.
The flight of Mr. Robert Wilson has ended now. A flight not only from point A to point B, but also from the fear of reoccurring mental breakdown. Mr. Wilson has had that fear no longer, though for the moment, he is, as he has said, alone in this assurance. Happily, his conviction will not remain isolated too much longer. For, happily, tangible manifestation is very often left as evidence of trespass, even from so intangible a quarter as the Twilight Zone. All right, well, folks, that will do it for our Nightmare at 20,000. What?
I'm sorry, don't you want to talk about the last shot?
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah.
We have the palette on.
Sorry, yeah. All right, folks. There's no ambiguity in the last shot at all. It's all in his head, and that's 100% crystal clear. You know, the top fell down at the end of Inception. We're all good. We're left with no questions. All right, no, Dragon. What happens?
So the palette, basically, as Sterling's going through his thing here, and basically lines up to what he's saying, we reveal the palette little plate thing on the engine has been turned up, actually. So there is some physical evidence there, which puts it all into question. So I think my takeaway from what Sterling said is that will be discovered, but it's going to lead to the question of, is it because of the gun? Is it because could it have been like he was having a nightmare? He just saw that lifted up pallet plate that was there, perhaps, but it wasn't there in that earlier scene. Again, it kind of adds to what you think you saw was a dream and what wasn't, perhaps. Who knows? Wasn't actually a gremlin? Then we'll never find the body. Like, will this exonerate him? Will it not? Who knows?
Yeah, totally. Love how up in the air it is.
Yeah, or landed it is at this point. Yeah.
All right. All right, well, folks, that'll do it. Twilight Zone, I really need to go back and watch some more of it, Dragon. I mean, I'm honestly, I'm not as advanced as you think I am in my Twilight Zone knowledge. Like, I really, I know more than just the big headliners, but I certainly haven't watched the whole show by any means. Like I said, my big exposure to it was through the marathon, so I definitely want to go back and watch some more of it, but especially some of the Donner episodes, Dragon. I'm very curious to watch some of the Donner episodes. But speaking of Donner, we will be back one day after you guys watch this for part 2 of our Richard Donner double feature. Dragon, I mean to bring this up to you, but I feel like we should kind of come up with a clever, the Donner double feature. Does that work for you?
Way to put me on the spot now. I don't want to commit to anything in case we change our minds.
Fair enough. All right. So stay tuned for Superman 2, the Donner cut tomorrow. And have a good night, everyone. Watch out for gremlins.
There's a man on the plane.
Wire work.